Welcome to videotape number 2 of the Emotional Freedom Techniques course. In this videotape, as well as the one to follow, we're showing you case histories. We're going to show you lots of situations where EFT is in action, so to speak, so you can broaden your exposure and your experience with these marvelous techniques through a wide variety of different cases and circumstances. And the first part of this tape, tape number 2, is going to be the highlights of one of our rather frequent workshops that we give on this.
Yes. What's nice about this workshop is that you're going to see people that have not only fears and phobias, but physical pain. Now you're going to be seeing, some people will be totally rid of whatever their problem is.
Other
people, they'll go right to zero.
Mm-hmm.
Other people need more of the work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And this is done on stage, which is the most difficult circumstance.
It's the most challenging way to do it because everybody's up there and people are looking at them, and I don't have a chance to really spend much time with them getting all their aspects and everything else.
Yes.
Nonetheless, we do it as a group, and you will see the power of these techniques as people in general lower all their intensity for the fears and the phobias and the pain.
Yes.
Using these simple procedures in minutes. And we're not talking about taking the rest of the afternoon. It happens in minutes. Before we do those sections, though, on this tape and this workshop that we do, these highlights, I'm actually spending a little time talking about the theory, about how it works, in a way that augments what you're reading in the manual. You see it from a little bit different angle, and it helps to cement in, really what's going on with all these techniques. I also want to point out and just remind you that what you're seeing here is our shortcut versions of the more thorough process you're learning. And again, I'll remind you that if we took the time to do the thorough version that this course presents, we could get exactly the same results. Just take us seconds
a little bit longer, just longer by seconds.
And then after we do this, these highlights, we're going to have a whole series of case histories, spanning a whole wide variety of people with phobias and fears and addictive cravings and all kinds of things. So you'll see firsthand how this works. But for right now, let's turn to that highlights of that workshop.
Good. Let's get going with it.
How many of you here are familiar already with acupuncture, acupressure, or generally speaking, the existence of the energy meridians in your body? Could I just so I have an idea of that? Okay, that's most of you. If you are familiar with the fact that we do have these energy circuits, these energy meridians run through the body, then you're already aware that that is vital to your physical health. This has been the centerpiece of Eastern health practices for 5,000 years. It was mapped that long ago, believe it or not. Okay, it is not the centerpiece, as you probably already know, of Western medical technology, and there is a growing movement for the Western findings and the Eastern findings to sort of meld. What you're going to see today is an emotional or psychological use of those energy meridians. My purpose today is to demonstrate this to you. My purpose today is to give you the theory behind it and all the concept behind it, so you walk around with a good grounding in it. I have not learned how to do that and demonstrate it and give you personal experience with it and teach it to you all in 3 hours. So it is not my goal here to teach you every single thing that I'm doing. Those of you who want to take notes, please do. You'll see a lot of the energy tapping going on. You'll get a sense of all of it, but I am not going to explain every little thing that I do with every little tapping process. You're going to have to observe it. There's just simply not enough time to do everything, okay? My goal here is to give you the experience of it more than anything else today. If you choose to go beyond that, we will have that course available in short order. Let me see. Other things, see. It is also the strangest looking process you will ever see in your life. Okay? This is what I'm going to have you do in part. I'm going to have you find a spot up here in your upper left or right chest that you will rub in. It'll be sore, and you'll rub that. And you'll say something like, even though I have this problem, I deeply and profoundly accept myself. You'll say that, okay? And then I'm going to have you tapping here, and I'm going to have you tapping here and tapping here. And at one point, I'm going to have you tapping here, and I have you roll your eyes around in your head, okay? And I'm going to have you hum Happy Birthday. That's to get your right brain involved, by the way. I'm going to have you count to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then hum again. It's very dumb looking. It does not resemble psychology as you know it in any way, shape, or form. People laugh at it, rightfully so, because it is totally outside of your belief system. At least for most of you it is. That's been my experience. However, all that notwithstanding, and even though the fact that we will address some very heavy issues, and by the way, you need to know, if you have the belief that the heavier your issue, the more deeply ingrained, the more intense, or whatever kind of label you want to give it, if your belief is the stronger it is in that sense, the harder it is to get over, that is not so with these techniques. The big ones are as easy to handle as the not so big ones. But a lot of you will be able to get over what's going on today. In fact, some of you will have traumatic memories of some kind you want to get over, and we will do this, and I will ask you to go outside the room, sit all by yourself, and try your darndest to get upset about it. And you'll say to me, after that's all, I couldn't even think about it. That's what you'll say. The reality is you are thinking about it, but what's happening is you're not thinking about it with the same emotional intensity. The other thing I'll mention to you before I get into the actual concept itself is that this is not a heavy workshop. Even though some of you may want to deal with heavy issues, this process is painless. I do not have to traipse you through all of your bad memories and put you through major fear with snakes, etc., although I've apologized for doing it a little bit. You don't have to do that with this. It is very painless. You just do this tapping process according to a procedure, and it goes away. Also, while it's always helpful if you have an issue that you'd like to get beyond, if you shared at least some part of it with us, it's easier for me to demonstrate. But if you have something that you want to get over and it is totally private to you, we totally respect that. I don't have to know what it is. So you can do it in the privacy of your own mind. It's your choice. But I'm going to go now to the concept of it. But before I do that, let me just stop here a second and see if anybody has any questions that you want to ask me before I go farther. Anybody had questions that come up? Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I'm a licensed family therapist and hypnotherapist as well. And the technique reminds me very much of where you diffuse the energy by distracting or sort of flattening the intensity by moving it into the body in another area. And I wonder how much this has to do with hypnosis.
None whatsoever. In fact, one of the challenges you will probably have, this is just a guess of mine. By the way, how many people here are professional psychotherapists of one kind or another? We have 1, 2, 3, right? You will probably need to suspend some of your current training to be open to what we're talking about. It is not hypnotherapy. You will see something that will appear to be distraction. That is, this kind of stuff appears to distract somebody. You will also notice one of the things we are critically doing is reminding them of their issue, because you need to be tuned into your issue as you do the tapping. I'm going to be discussing some of this in the theory here, but thank you for the question. But I will point out you do need to take your existing training and put it on a peg someplace, pick it up later, okay? You need to really be open, because I'm going to show you something brand new to you, okay? I want to give you the idea behind all. I want to give you the concept behind this. And what I'm going to do is, if you will, especially those of you who are psychotherapists, professionals in the area, I want you to allow me for the moment to take a broad brush on some psychotherapeutic techniques. There is one general understanding in psychotherapy which I want to develop, and I'm going to use this as a contrast to what we're doing. And that is that, generally speaking, the thought of something causes an emotional response. For example, if I were to say to you, I want you to come out and public speak for a while, what's your response to that?
My throat constricts.
Yeah, okay. So you just now had the thought, because I asked you to do it, right? You had the thought of it, and then you had the emotional response, which ended up being your throat constricting. You had some form of fear, a fear of public speaking, okay? So the thought caused the emotional response. And that is very logical, isn't it? And so if I were to say to you, if I were to talk about snakes, sorry, bring it up again, but you have a thought about snakes, which causes an emotional response. Okay? And so that is very logical, because you don't sit here and have some humorous thoughts and end up having fear, do you? You have laughter over here. You have that emotion, okay? So the thought at least appears to cause the emotion. And that's very standard, and it's very obvious. That's plain for anybody to see. But what I want to point out is, a few centuries ago, it was very obvious to anybody who looked around in their environment that the earth was flat. Stand on the seashore and look out at the horizon and you see a flat earth, do you not? Your senses tell you it is flat. The land is flat except that it has some mountains on it, here and there, okay? So it's very obvious to the senses that the earth is flat, until someone comes along with a new discovery and realize it's round and so on and so forth. Well, what I want to point out, before I go to this, I want to ask you a question. In fact, I'm going to address it to anybody, but particularly the psychotherapists that are here, the therapists that are here. If I stand on top of the Empire State Building and I look down and I have no fear whatsoever of that height, I look down and say to myself, oh, gee, a long way down there. How many of you, by the way, just as I said that, had some queasiness? Okay. See, a lot of people have some form of height phobia, some form of a abnormal fear of height. Now, I have caution about that. I'm not going to go out and do something silly and stuff like that. I'm afraid of falling off and dying, but just standing up there looking down at the height bothers me not. But other people it will bother. Some people will be so intense about that, they will throw up. They won't go up there in the first place. They will have headaches. They'll have very, very strong physical and phobic responses. Now, my question to you is, why is it I stand up there and have no fear whatsoever, and somebody else stands up there and goes bananas or goes bonkers? Now, let me go over what in conventional terms typically happens here. Many times we get the response as I think it's, I don't see the name here. Is it Roxy? Yeah. Roxy? Okay. As Roxy mentioned, it's like the person who will look off the Empire State Building and have this trauma is someone who has had a traumatic experience in the past. And what they're doing is when they're looking down, they're tuning into that, going, whoa, just like it was before. Okay? And I look down, and I don't have that, therefore I don't have the traumatic experience. It's like when I have that, I don't tune into things that give me this emotional response, and somebody who does have this intense fear does tune into something and does have a response. Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, well, we're getting back to what Richard brought up now about karmic past. I have a terrifying fear of heights over water. Okay, yes. And I have never had a bad experience.
Okay, and conventional psychotherapy would quite often say, okay, you've had that experience in this lifetime or some previous lifetime, therefore we need to go back to the thought and deal with the thought, that experience somehow, diffuse it, change it, modify it, reduce it, through a whole variety of very clever mechanisms. Do something with the thought. So if you do something with the thought, then you're going to change the emotional response with what you want. You don't want that intense fear of being at height over water, do you? Like on a bridge. Yeah, okay. You don't want that. Okay. All right. Now, what I want to introduce to you here something is, even though that is very logical, it's like the earth is logically flat if you just look at it, okay? Something else happens between having the thought of something and having the emotional response. And that thing that happens is your thoughts will sometimes create an imbalance in that electrical system that runs throughout your body. Your electrical system, if I may use a metaphor, is very much like a TV set. And that electricity flows throughout the TV set. And as long as it's flowing normally and you turn it on, you see a perfectly normal picture, do you not? And you hear perfectly normal sound. But what would happen if I took a screwdriver, put it inside that TV set, moved it around a little bit, and if you will, disrupted the free flow of electricity in that TV set? What would happen to the picture? Yeah, it gets fuzzy and wouldn't be as clear. And the sound, would you get static and just wouldn't be as clear, okay? See, it's like an electronic goes on inside the TV set when I do that. Okay? When you have a negative emotion of any kind, be it a phobia, a fear, anxiety, stress, grief, anger, it doesn't matter what the negative emotion is. What is really happening is the thought causes a zzz in the electrical flow in your body, and that is what you feel as the emotion. Okay? Very important concept, because this is the thought doesn't change the electricity in your body, disrupt it in some fashion. You don't get the emotion. We've seen that hundreds of times, thousands of times over and over and over again. So to address the thought itself, to go back to your past lives, for example, or whatever traumatic memory may have been there, while it's very logical, in this process is ignored. Because we go right to this. I'm going to state this for those of you taking notes. This is the fundamental sentence behind everything. The cause of all negative emotions is a disruption in the body's energy system. Okay? If that doesn't become disrupted, one does not get the emotion. When I am standing on the top of the Empire State Building, looking down, that process does not make a zzz in my energy system. Therefore, I'm totally calm over here. Okay? When I think about public speaking, I think hooray, because my energy system does not go zzz like that, and I don't get that response. Okay? The person who is phobic or does have the fear or whatever, when they think about that, zzz goes on. When you think about snakes, you get a zzz going on. In fact, it's a good metaphor because sometimes it feels like that. Right? Okay. If we can address the zzz and straighten it out, your fear, your emotional response is going to go away. Yeah, go ahead.
So even to the slightest degree, a negative emotion of somebody saying, or somebody cutting me off on the freeway, and you calling them whatever you call them.
Yeah.
That would be that minute.
Yeah, we'll call that anger. We'll call that anger. That is what's going on. Because you see, you could be driving along the freeway and somebody could cut in front of you and you could have anger, but somebody else would go, oh, what a jerk, and let it go. Okay? And so the degree to which you get the zzz is also the degree to which you have the fear. That's why people with very intense phobias, the energy system just goes bonkers when that happens. And they have all these physical things that occur because of that. You will see that as we go through this. I forgot your first name. Yeah. I'm still not seeing it. Chris?
Yeah.
Would you mind coming up?
Oh,
And could you come up? Does anybody else have a phobia that you would like to get done with reasonably painfully now? Painlessly, I'm sorry, thank you. Painlessly now. Anybody else? Come on up. Okay, all right. All right, if you'd all just kind of stand, and that will be enough for now, okay? The rest of you do not tap, okay? I don't want you to tap. I just want you to watch this. And if I could kind of get all of you kind of a little closer together. Let's go. Okay, the phobia is of what?
Height.
Of height.
Yeah, very high.
Like on top of a building, for example?
No.
What is the highest building you've ever been on where you had this fear?
Well, I was on top of a castle, an old historic castle.
And can you recall being on top of that castle and looking down?
Yeah.
And as you recall that, on a scale of 0 to 10, I want to know how intense that emotion is now. Do it this way. I want you to imagine yourself being on that castle as you were and look over as you did before and tell me how intense that gets now. Not what it was then, but what it is now.
About a 4.5.
Or 4.5 or 5, okay?
Height, airplanes.
Airplanes. Well, when you say height, is it when you're in an airplane and you look out the window, is that what caused the
No, just sitting there, flying.
Okay, just sitting there. Okay. That's not really a fear of height, it's a fear of flying.
When I go somewhere and also height, I get.
Okay. Okay, what I want you to do here is, see, you're going to need to zero in on one or the other. So if it's a fear of flying or a fear of height, those are different issues. Okay, they're different fears. Which would you rather work on now? Because I only want you to work on one.
Flying.
Flying. Okay, it's going to be a fear of flying. I want you to imagine, when's the last time you flew?
Maybe a couple of weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago. Can you imagine now what it was like then and what kind of intensity you had?
Yeah.
Okay, as you think about that now, how much intensity do you get now as you tune into that? On a scale of 0 to 10.
Otherwise, 7.
A 7. Okay, and we're going to deal with a height over water. When's the last time you had that?
Just a few minutes ago when you asked me to bring it up.
Okay, but I want you to go back to a specific circumstance where you had it, where it was intense. Have you done that? Okay. On a scale of 0 to 10, how intense do you get it back now thinking about it?
Oh, about a 6.
About a 6. Okay, you were 10 earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What I'd like to have you do is to imagine it more vividly. If 6 is all you get, that's all you get. That's fine, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you now?
I think I've been tapping too hard.
Okay, by the way, listen to what she said. She gets more relaxed about it. She was a 10 before we ever did any of this. She's been doing some tapping.
Yeah, I usually get dizzy when I close my eyes and I think about it also.
And now you're not getting dizzy. Is that
Not as bad as when you hit it over there and I
okay?
just recalled it. Like,
What I'd like to have you do is think about a time that actually happened when you were high over water, where you got that intensity. In fact, if you would, just open your eyes and look down at the floor like you were in that circumstance, and tell me how intense you get now.
about 7.
About a 7.
Seven, yeah.
Okay, great. About the snakes? All right. When I asked you before about having a snake crawl up your leg on a scale of 0 to 10, how intense did you just get when I said that?
10.
It was a 10.
Yes.
Okay, did you see the reaction? Okay. Okay, what's the phobia? What's the
Darkness.
darkness? Okay, now that's two different items. Darkness and alone are two different items, so we need to separate those out for this purpose.
Okay.
So what would be a circumstance where you gotten the fear that you want to address here?
Hiking through the woods alone or in the dark.
And you have done that in the past?
Yeah.
And you had a fear at that point, and you can zero in on that now?
It's kind of light, but I could get somewhere with it.
All right. Why don't you just take a minute, relax, close your eyes, get back into the forest, and tell me on a scale of 0 to 10 how intense you get now as you speak about it.
Probably a 5.
Probably a 5. Okay, Donna?
Fear of getting in front of crowds.
Like now?
Like now.
Like now, okay. Yeah, a fear of being in front of crowds, like a fear of public speaking, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to look out now at the group, and on a scale of 0 to 10, how intense do you get now thinking about that?
Oh, about 7.
About a 7. Okay, I want you all to remember your numbers because I don't remember them, okay? And here's what I want you to do. I want you to find that sore spot, okay, and just do what I ask you to do. Just find the sore, just kind of locate that sore spot, okay? And I want you to rub it so you can feel a little pain. You don't have to hurt yourself, a little pain in there, okay? And I want you to say this in unison, okay? 3 times, whether you believe it or not, but say it like you meant it. I accept myself, even though I have this fear. Go ahead.
I accept myself even though I have this fear.
I accept myself even though I have this fear.
I accept myself even though I have this fear.
I accept myself even though I have this fear.
I accept myself even though I have
Okay,
this
now watch me carefully. I want you to tap on your collarbone while I remind you of your fear. I'm talking to your subconscious. Okay, tap on your collarbone. Your collarbone point's right there. Right there, collarbone point. Okay, now I want you to tap on your eyebrow, beginning of your eyebrow, Laura. There you go, okay. Under your eye, right there, as we remember the fear. The collarbone again, collarbone point. Now this point under your arm, go back to the collarbone, go under your eye, now go to the eyebrow, and back to the collarbone. Okay, now I want you to stop right there. We're not done yet. But what I'd like to have you do is all of you, just close your eyes for a minute. Just close your eyes, and I want you to zero back in on the same exact scene you were thinking about earlier. And I need to know whether or not you're still the original number you were, higher, lower, or whatever. But be as accurate as you can.
Low.
Okay, you started at a what?
About 4.5.
About a 4. And what is it now?
About a 2.5.
About a 2.5. Okay.
7, probably 5.
7 to a 5, Chris.
It's probably about a 3. There's a sense of rationale there now. You feel
Okay,
a sense of
all right.
rationale.
Yeah, she has. Well, explain what that means.
Well, I can think of one particular incident where I'm looking over a pier, and it's dark and murky down there, and it's like terrifying. But now I can look down at that pier and those pilings, and it's like it's a pier, and the pilings are down there in the water. And
Okay, instead of having the automatic reaction, you still have some reaction.
There's a thought through
Yeah, okay.
that's calm.
All right. Okay, how about you?
It's about a 7, but I'm having trouble seeing it. It's like there's a cloud in front of it now.
Okay, all right. Just listen to what's going on. Yeah, I'll be describing this later, but just go ahead.
It's lower.
Okay, from a what to a what, I forget.
I had troubles. It was a 5. I would say it's low. It's low 2.
A 2? Okay, best guess is all we need. How about you? Look out at the people.
7 to maybe a 4.
So you're more relaxed about it now. Okay, all right, great. We're only partway through, but I want to make sure everybody understands what's going on. The reason they had the intensity to begin with, anywhere from a 4.5 or whatever it was up to a 10, was that as they thought about it, they got a zzz, which caused the emotional response. Okay, that is what happened. Now we're addressing the energy system. We're tapping on it. We're sending energy down it, straightening it out. We're not done yet. Okay, but that is mechanically what is going on. Okay, now I want you to do this. I want you to tap on the gamut spot. Okay, and you want to tap continuously as you do the following rather bizarre series. Okay, and as we tune in to the issue, the fear that we talked about, I want you to close your eyes and open your eyes. And now with your head steady, I want you to look hard down right. Look at me. It looks like this. Okay? Look hard down right. Now hard down left. Now keep tapping, and now look at me if you would. I want you to roll your eyes around in a circle. Just keep tapping, like you're looking around the numbers of a clock. So roll your eyes around. Now the other direction. Okay, now I want you to hum Happy Birthday. Okay? You're really dumb, okay? Okay, now count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As we remember the fear. Okay, count. Excuse me. Okay, stop there a second. Now I want you to tap here on your collarbone point again as we tune into our fear. And you may feel distracted, but I just say that I'm reminding your subconscious. Okay. Now on your eyebrow, beginning of your eyebrow, under your eye. Okay, on your collarbone, under your arm. Back on your collarbone point, under your eye, on the eyebrow, and back on the collarbone. Okay? Now just stop right there a second. You were a 4.5 and you went to like a 2. Well, first of all, close your eyes, get back into, and try to get intense about what it was. Try to remember it vividly, if you will, and try to get intense about it, and tell me, just come up with another number, and then we'll talk about that. So just take a few seconds. Take a full 10 seconds. Okay, now. Okay, Roxy, you started at, I think it was a 4.5, then to a 2.5, and what are you now?
Maybe a 0.5.
A 0.5.
Something like that.
Okay, what's going on in the mind now? Okay, can you put some words around it?
I'm addressing the actual fear, the feeling, the energy feeling.
Uh-huh.
And it's just a lot lighter than it was.
Okay.
The energy's less.
Okay, you had less...
It was like well up in me before, and
Okay.
now it's not welling up. It just sort of...
Okay. There's a little bit there. Okay. All right, we didn't get it all in this case. That's typical. We don't always get it all the first way around. Pronounce your name for me, would you?
Faradon.
Faradon, okay.
But I'm still 5 because, I'm not actually there to feel it. I'm more relaxed.
Okay, but now I want to make sure that we're clear on something. You said you're a 5 because you're not there to feel it. Okay, now here's the worst. Sometimes this experience is such that we need to get a good idea of what's going on. What I'm asking you to do here is to tell me how intense you are now as you think about it and try to, not what you think it's going to be when the time comes. How intense are you now?
About 3 to 4.
3 to 4, starting at, I forgot, a 7?
You were 7 and came to 5.
Okay, and then 5, then down to 3 or 4. Okay, how you doing, Chris?
Felt good. I closed my eyes and saw myself jump in.
Let yourself jump in.
Yeah, I dove right in that water.
Okay, now I'm noticing something here. I don't know if this is unusual or not, but I'm noticing there's a little wetness right
I
there.
am cooking.
What does that mean?
I've got a ton of energy flowing through me right now. I'm just...
Just show the water now.
As a result of tapping? I mean, do you relate it to tapping?
Do I what?
Relate the energy flow in you to the tapping.
Oh, definitely.
And hence the wetness.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you a 0 having started at a 10?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Below.
Okay. Below. Where are you with the snakes now?
Somewhere between a 0 and a 1 probably, but what's happening when I'm trying to see it now, it's in pieces and it's spiraling.
Okay. So you can still remember any situation you've had in the past, and you can recall it and remember it. But see, what you're describing to me, and what you need to know, because you'll have the same experience yourself with whatever you deal with, what's really going on here is when she thinks about it, she's used to having her energy system do what? Okay? It's not happening. It's an unusual event for you, and you describe it a variety of ways in that it's, whatever you said, diffused, or I forgot the words you
The energy
choose.
is being dissipated because I can't focus on it because it's evading me because it's in pieces and spiraling.
Yeah.
It's actually moving.
Some people say, and you may say to yourself, I can't think about it anymore. And of course you can. We don't erase the memory. It's just when you think about it, it's so different. You're much calmer about it. I want you to imagine a snake crawling right up your leg.
That's not as bad now.
What about a snake crawling right around here?
That's not too bad now.
Okay, now listen. I've had a lot of experience with snake phobias, and you do something like that with the snake before this, and you jump right out of your skin. Is that right? And I want you to look at the response. Okay. Now, Laura, where are you?
It's 0.
A 0.
If I could remember to sing Happy Birthday in the Woods next time I'm there in the dark.
Okay, but now I want you to hear something else. See, what I'm hearing there, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm superimposing this, is that you're saying to yourself, it worked here, but what about the next time I get in the forest and I get in a real situation? Will it work then? Okay, and that's a very standard thing. Obviously, we don't have a snake here to put in your lap, do we?
Right.
Okay, so how are we going to test it? We don't have a bridge for you to look off of or a pier, do we not? We're not in an airplane, right, and so on? Okay? How are you doing looking out here?
I feel very comfortable now.
Scale of 0 to 10, you are?
A 1.
A 1. Now here we have something we can test, because she's right here doing it right at the moment, is she not? I mean, she's sitting here. You were very uncomfortable even standing here, and now you're more comfortable. Okay? The rest of it we don't test. Now, but that's really important to understand, because a lot of people will look at it and say, well, yeah, but you know, this is not real. You know, there's no real snake here. What I want to point out to you is, remember this concept. It is the thought that causes the, that causes the disease, which then causes the emotion. Okay? That thought that you have is the same, almost the same thought when you imagine it as when you're in the real circumstance. Okay? Now, when Chris, for example, gets on that pier, the odds of her being able to be fine on that pier without the response is very good. Why? Because we straightened out the energy system while she was having the thought, intense thoughts here. When we straighten that out, the emotion has changed as we speak here. Now, when she gets there, if she gets intense at all, it is not because the tapping didn't work. It is because when she gets there, some other aspect of it came up that is not coming up now as you think about it. So when you get there, she may go, instead of being a 10, you may be a 4. You say, whoa.
What other kind of aspect or is
I don't know what it would be here, but let's take
I can relate to that. There's
Okay,
another aspect.
okay, why don't you tell him?
The Creature from the Black Lagoon was a very impressive movie on my mind when I was a child. And whenever I looked down there, under the piers and it's dark, that Creature from the Black Lagoon is down there.
Okay, so in the one case, it's the height being above the water.
Right.
Another aspect is the creature in the Black Lagoon in your experience, right? People who have a fear of flying, by the way, is often a multiple fear. There's claustrophobia quite often. There's the fear of being up high. There's the fear of dying. There's the fear of landing, the fear of taking off, the fear of the wings falling off. There's all kinds of fears that could be there. And so when he's doing this fear of flying, sometimes it's done like that. And people never get white knuckles again. Other times we've got to do it several times to get all the aspects of it, okay? I want you to, you've had probably several experiences with snakes, have you not? Mm-hmm. Okay, what was the worst one you ever had?
When I was a little girl and almost stepped on one, and I was afraid to move, I just stood there like I was
Where was it?
in the barnyard.
In the barnyard. I mean, show me how you did it. I mean, show me what happened.
I was running from the corn crib. I was making a playhouse, and I was putting pictures, and I ran for a hammer, and I was running, and all of a sudden I realized the snake was there in front of me, and I was maybe 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was captivated by it because I was afraid to move, and it was sticking its tongue out at me. So the tongue was...
Okay, now as you describe all that, how much intensity do you have?
Not as much.
Do you have any?
Yes, I still have some.
Okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, what is it?
3.
Okay, see, other aspects are coming up now. Okay, sometimes with the phobia bingo, we get it one time and it's gone forever. We see that with some frequency. But now we have some little bits coming up here.
Well, I think it was further caused by a lizard, actually, which is like a snakehead.
Uh-huh.
When I was at junior high school, some kids held me held my arms, and the others had this lizard crawling in my face and around my hair and in my...
Okay, as you say that, what kind of intensity do you get?
I'm not going to cry.
Okay, she gets intensity back. Okay, we have another aspect. We have another traumatic experience for her. What we dealt with on the... Oh, that's a good one, isn't it? Okay. Now, here, I want you to do this, okay? Here. I'm going to do it for you, okay? See, I accept myself even though I have this fear.
I accept myself even though I have this
I accept
fear.
myself even though I have
accept myself even though I have this
I
fear.
accept myself even...
I accept myself even though I have this
Okay.
fear.
Raise your arm for me, okay? Is it any better?
Mm-hmm.
Look at me. Close your eyes. Open your eyes. Hard down right. Hard down right. Hard down left. Other direction. Excuse me, the other way. Okay. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me.
Okay. No, hum it.
Happy birthday to me.
Okay. As we tune in now, to that thing with the lizard crawling on your face, bad as that may have been. Okay, on a scale of, you were a 10, obviously. Are you still a 10?
No.
Okay, describe the lizard again.
It's hard.
Well, they held you down, and they put the lizard all over your
I was
face.
screaming,
Okay.
yes. I
Yeah.
was screaming, and it was crawling all around my face and around my
Okay,
neck.
how intense do you get now when you talk about it?
Maybe a 4.
Maybe a 4. See, we have a little bit left. Now, I want you to do this, okay? Listen to these words, okay? Even though I still have some of this fear left,
Even though I still have some of this fear
I
left,
deeply and profoundly accept myself.
I deeply and profoundly accept myself.
Even though I still have some of this fear left,
Even though I still have some of
I
this
deeply
fear
and
left,
profoundly
I
accept
deeply and profoundly accept myself.
even though I still have some of this fear
Even though
left.
I still have some of this fear left,
I
I
deep-
deeply and profoundly accept
Okay.
myself.
Okay, raise your arm. Look at me. Close your eyes. Open. Hard down right. Hard down left. In a circle. Other way. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me.
Yeah, I know. It's dumb. It's really dumb, okay? Okay. They put the lizard where?
All around my face and in my hair and around my neck. It was all around my face and neck and hair.
Okay, how do you feel now when you talk about that?
It's like it's happening to somebody else.
Okay. Now, is this going to come back? I don't know. Typically not. If it does come back, it'll be reduced but there's some other aspect maybe that we're not addressing right here. Okay. Quite often when we have phobias, we have a number of traumatic events attached to us. You have this, what you call a fear of snakes, but there may be a whole series of traumatic events. If we cover 3 or 4 of those, if there's a whole bunch of them, it's going to generalize over all of them, and you will be able to actually hold a snake in your hand. Okay. Now we can't test that here. I don't have a pet shop and a snake and all that kind of stuff. How do you feel about holding a snake in your hand?
I could hold a rubber one, which I
You can hold a rubber. Okay. Okay.
I couldn't look at a rubber one before, but I could hold a rubber one today.
Okay. All right. So now we've made headway in how long?
5 minutes?
But I want to tell you something else. Physical pain comes from, at least in these terms, 2 places. One is some mechanical thing, most likely. You have a mechanical thing with sciatica, it gets pinches on a nerve and so on. Same with your back, probably. If we took an x-ray, the doctor would say you have a so-and-so. Is that right?
Probably. Arthritis of the spine.
Okay, arthritis of the spine, whatever. So there's some physical reasons, some mechanical reasons that go on for the various things that we have. There's another aspect to it, and that is we have tensions in our body, which those tensions tend to get into our muscles, and it shows up in our muscles and shows tension there, which aggravates pain we otherwise have. And to the extent we can relax that, we relax the pain. Now that doesn't seem like it would occur at all for a headache, but believe me, a lot of times we get rid of headaches, so they come on down. Okay? I don't know what's going to happen here. We'll just have to see. Okay? So if you have pain, work on it the same way we're going to do so. If you have some other issue, like a past traumatic memory, or a fear, or grief, or anxiety, or anything else, work on that as well. Reluctance, you can work on that. Whatever you want to work on out there, please do so, because we're going to have, basically speaking, the same kind of process. So I want you to rub that little sore, find that sore spot up there, and say, even though I have this pain, remember, it's one pain at a time, even though I have this pain, I deeply and profoundly accept myself. Okay, collarbone? Stop. Okay. Now you have to remind me again, Roxy. Your pain, it was up here.
Yeah, it was coming down in my shoulder.
Okay, and on a scale of 0 to 10 it was?
About a 4.5.
And it is? Still?
Maybe 1 or less.
Maybe 1 or less. I mean, move your arm or whatever you could do. I mean, could you do that before that?
Yeah. Seems to be. The actual pain seems to be pretty much almost gone.
The actual pain seems to be gone?
There seems to be a tenseness in the muscle.
Tenseness in the muscle, but the pain itself?
Yeah, the pain.
It's gone. Okay, we didn't get it all. We just had some shifting going on. Something else is showing up. But the pain itself, you say, has dissipated quite a bit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
6, about 4.5 or 5.
Okay, so it's come down a little bit, but not much. All right, how about your back, Frank?
It's come down to maybe about a 5 or 4.
From an 8, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. How about your sciatica?
The same.
About the same. Okay. I almost suspected that. Okay.
About a 2.
It's about a 2, and it was an 8, I think. And that's right here. Has it gone back to your head, or is here?
Well, it moved up here a little bit, but then it's going out.
Okay. And how about your arm?
Oh, it's from about 6 to a 4.
6 to a 4. Okay. Now, I want you to do this. Okay. I want you to rub here. By the way, let me tell you what I'm doing. Quite often we will get results where people go from, let's say, an 8 down to a 6 or a 5 or a 4, some lower number, but they don't go to 0. Remember I talked about psychological reversal before. I don't have enough time to talk too much about it, but there's a formula that happens. Something sometimes sets in that says we're going to reverse your electrical polarity against getting any better still. Okay? And so we correct that by doing the following. Okay, rub the sore spot and listen to my words carefully and repeat them back. I accept myself even though I still have some of this pain left.
I accept myself even though I still don't have.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Happy birthday. Okay, now tap on your collarbone as we zero in on our pain. Eyebrow, under your eye, collarbone, under your arm, collarbone, under your eye, eyebrow, collarbone. Okay, you went from a 4.5 to like it was a 1 or something. How is it now?
Gone.
It's gone. It's totally gone? I mean, move your arm around. Try to chase
The
it.
muscle seems to
Okay.
be relaxed.
Okay, but try to get it back when you move it. Can you get it back at all?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. How about your headache?
2.
About a 2, so it's come down.
Yeah.
Okay.
About a 2.
About a 2 from an 8. Okay.
Well, I would say right now it might have dropped just a little bit.
Oh, but not so you notice it.
No, not
Okay. Chances are what we have here is something that is so mechanically caused that we're not really addressing it. That is my guess.
Quite a recent thing. It's not that I've had it for years.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
about 6 months.
But there's also a shoulder issue, right?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe what I should have had you do is zero in on that rather than the sciatica. Mistake of my own. I don't know.
Yeah.
How you doing here?
To 0.
It's a 0. Can you move something and try to get it back? Can you do that?
Yeah, if I wanted to, but I could. Yeah, I could get them. It's but
Can you get something back?
oh no, I thought I could. No,
Okay, it's not there at all.
no.
Okay, Donna?
Yeah, probably to 3.
Probably to a 3, so it's not done yet. Okay. See, she has a little bit more to do. It may be there's something so mechanical that we can't go any farther. I don't know. But see, the point is, our energy system is very important for us from an emotional point of view as well as physical point of view, and the two are connected. This is one of your greatest evidences, by the way, of the mind-body connection. I hope you get this. This is obvious. Okay?
I noticed some energy, really, I could feel specific energy flowing right straight down my body.
Oh, you could, huh?
Or tapping, yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, we're straightening out otherwise disrupted energy systems. And by the way, if your energy systems are disrupted, that it is not a character defect. Just so you know, okay? Tell me something. Was there a time when somebody held you down and put a lizard on your face? No, I'm serious. Would you tell me about that? What happened?
No, it's funny now. It's
Well, yeah, but tell me what happened.
Okay, well, these kids held my arms and held my hands down like this. There were 2 or 3 of them holding me. There was a whole gang.
Was the lizard
They
kind of like
thought
that
it
on your
was-
face?
It was all over my face.
Yeah.
It was in my hair, around my neck.
Okay, and how intense are you now talking about that?